Guys, so let me just check to make sure this is working. Yes, it is. So today I am going to teach you how to create a virtual machine and install your own operating system. So today we're going to be installing something called OpenSUSE. Um, I have terrible handwriting, so it might be better if I find a way to type this instead. Okay, as of right now, we're just gonna put OpenSUSE. Let me get the magnifier on so everyone can see what I'm doing. Magnify, bam. Okay, so OpenSUSE. So OpenSUSE is a Linux operating system. This is a Linux operating system. Linux. And just to give you guys a background, I'm not going to write too much, but a Linux system, Linux is an operating system that was created in 1993 by a man named Linus Torvalds, and essentially he is a Finnish computer scientist who who was one of those hacker types who created his own operating system kernel. Linux is just the kernel of the operating system, meaning the core, and everyone decided to invest in that project, and now there are so many different Linux distributions. One of them is OpenSUSE. Some other ones would be Ubuntu, which is by far the most popular, and then Gentoo, which isn't as popular, but it's still neat, you know. And there's also Fedora. So the neat thing about Linux is that it's all free and open source. So in cases like Ubuntu, the software may or may not be open source. Like, you have the option of downloading closed source or non-open source software, like proprietary software, but typically Ubuntu itself, it's a free and open source operating system. Fedora is a free and open source operating system. Gentoo, OpenSUSE, they're all free and open source operating systems. You are allowed to mess around with the code. You can download it online for free. Anyway, so let's just begin. So we're going to be downloading Fedora, and the first step is, not Fedora, sorry, we're going to be downloading OpenSUSE, and the first step is we go to this URL, https://software.openSUSE.org/4021/n. If you don't want to do all of this, all you got to do is Google OpenSUSE. Bam, it's done. So you have two choices. You can choose 4.7 gigabyte DVD. That's what I'd recommend you choose, but I chose the network installation because right now, for some reason, downloading ISO files is extremely slow. So you have several options here, but since we're going to do this on a virtual machine, keep this ISO file. That's what it's going to download. Keep it. And the next thing you're going to need to do is install VirtualBox. You can install it here. VirtualBox, go to Downloads, Oracle, VM, VirtualBox, and you're going to see VirtualBox for Windows hosts. You choose either the Times86 or AMD 64, depending on the chipset that you have. And I already have it installed, but you're going to need to install that. And so yeah. So let's start up VirtualBox then. Once you got VirtualBox installed, so here, just to show you around, I have Xubuntu, which is another Linux operating system. It's like a version of Ubuntu. I got Solus, which is based on Ubuntu. Ubuntu 16.04, although I can't get that to work. And this is an older operating system I have called OS/2. It was made by IBM. Anyways, that's not the purpose of that. Once you have OpenSUSE, the OpenSUSE ISO file downloaded, whether it be the network ISO uh, or the 4.7 gigabyte DVD, all you got to do is you got to create a new operating system. You're going to see name and operating system. We're going to select a type. We're going to put Linux. No, not Linux. We're going to put we're going to put Linux, and then we're going to try to look for OpenSUSE. Well, that's OpenSUSE 64-bit, as you can see right there. If you're running on a 64-bit computer. Otherwise, you choose OpenSUSE 32-bit. So OpenSUSE 64-bit, since I know I'm running on a 64-bit computer. So OpenSUSE, you can name it whatever you want, by the way. Click Next. It says 768 megabytes of RAM, but I would recommend, if you have enough memory, I would recommend at least 2 gigabytes. I have 8 gigabytes of memory on my main system, so I'm totally okay with putting 4 gigabytes of RAM aside for this virtual machine right here. So 4096 megabytes of RAM, which is 4 gigabytes essentially. So let's create a virtual hard disk. You have several options here, but just go with the default option, the VirtualBox disk image. All these other options relate to other pieces of software, like QCOW is for QEMU, which is another virtualization software on Linux and Unix systems. VHD, that's common with Microsoft's virtual machine software, or I think it's called Windows Virtual Machine now. Yeah, VMDK also has some affiliation. I think it has to do with VMware. VMware has its own virtualization software, VMware Fusion and whatnot. But yeah, we don't care about that. So just keep it with the default. I recommend dynamically allocated size, but if you want to set a fixed size, okay, let me explain this. You choose dynamically allocated for this section, the storage on physical hard disk. If you say want to set an 8 gigabyte hard drive, you want to allocate 8 gigabytes of hard drive space for this virtual machine, but then you realize that you need more space, it'll automatically readjust for you. So 8 gigabytes, run out of space, it automatically readjusts if you select dynamically allocated. If you select fixed size, it won't automatically adjust for you. You're just going to have to add a new hard disk, or a new virtual hard disk, I should say. So you should, in my opinion, if you have enough space, just choose dynamically allocated. I'm going to choose 8 gigabytes of space, and remember, I chose dynamically allocated, so it won't really matter that much. Okay, so now you'll see this OpenSUSE bar at the bottom. Click it. Alright, so let me just move this to the side. And you're going to see this select startup disk menu, and it's going to say host drive E. What you want to do here is see this icon right here. You want to click the icon, and it's going to bring up this file dialog box. And what you want to do is look for that ISO file. Here it is, OpenSUSE Leap. This is the network installation, but that's fine. As you can see, you want to go down to installation. So it's loading the Linux kernel, as you can see right here. And you'll see all this jargon and whatnot, just ignore it. It's just booting up. That's this green loading sign is what I call a blessing. Yeah, I've dealt with Linux a lot, you know, and to be honest, with Linux systems, on one hand, they can be very powerful, but on the other hand, they can be extremely hard to set up. I gotta say, I've run into more problems setting up Linux than I have with fixing Windows problems. And don't get me wrong, Linux is a beautiful operating system. It's a wonderful operating system, but you really have to know your way around it. And I still can't call myself even an intermediate person with Linux. And I've been working on a Linux system for years, by the way. I used Ubuntu Linux when I was for the first time when I was in middle school. I was in like about 6th grade, and yeah, I remember getting my first Ubuntu CD in the mail, and that was like amazing. But 2 weeks later, I had to switch back to Windows because something bad happened to my computer. So you know, Linux, it's it's a it's an amazing operating system if you know how to work it. And over time, I've got a bit better, but I still can't say that I know my way 100% around Linux. There are so many people who probably, and another thing helpful is that if you know Linux slash Unix commands to run in a terminal, that's really helpful in running a Linux system. I know a few of them. I'm more of a GUI person, but yeah, I know just enough to get by. Okay, so we're waiting for you to load, OpenSUSE. You've got to wait patiently, by the way. You got to remember, the computer is taking all of this from a disk. This is good news. Yes, finally. Take a look at this. So it says English. So you see the license agreement here. We're just going to scroll down a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Of course we're not going to read that. So the reason I chose a network installation is so that it wouldn't take too long to download the ISO file. I didn't want to bore us by downloading the ISO file. Right now, it's going to download the software packages from the internet. It's going to do that not through the Wi-Fi that we have, because I didn't select any Wi-Fi network. It didn't give me any option to select a Wi-Fi network, but through the Ethernet port connected to my computer. So it's going to give you options: add online repositories before installation, include add-on products from separate media. Unless you really have something, which, as this is a beginner's tutorial, I doubt you have any online repositories or add-on products, just click next. Click next again. So now here you select the time zone. I'm going to select Monterey. I mean, I don't really want people to know where I'm from, but it's in the same time zone, so it's going to give you the same time. 16:39 in military time, that is 12. Yeah, that's correct. Click next. Then you have the option to choose between a Nomi desktop system or the KDE desktop system. I prefer no. I won't lie, I prefer no. So I'm going to choose a GNOME desktop system here. If you want to choose a KDE, that's fine, but personally I prefer no. Then you have the user's full name. I'm going to put Debarshi Kundu, and obviously I'm not going to say my password out loud, so this is just the packages it's going to install. It's going to install the Nomi desktop system, which uses the X Window system for graphics, and it's going to install some Office software, fonts, games, and miscellaneous proprietary packages. So we just select it and click install. Install. In order not to bore you guys to death, we're going to wait until this installation finishes. I will be right back on once this installation finishes. Thank you. Hey guys, something bad happened, but I still want to continue with this because this is my project, so here it goes. So here's the finished installation, and as you can see, this is in VirtualBox. This is OpenSUSE, and I'm just gonna click up, and voila. I'm gonna type in my password. And this is our first, let's enlarge this. Yes, you can enlarge it. This is our first introduction to the environment. Yeah. So you'll have to click to the right to actually get to the dock. And this thing shows all the applications. As you can see, this is a relatively different environment from Windows. What you're going to be using a lot, though, is the terminal. The terminal is going to be very, very handy in Linux. And yeah, just to teach you a couple of commands, ls shows all the directories, cd documents. CD allows you to change a directory. CD stands for change directory. CD ... goes back to your last directory. And well, that should start you off. There's also a text editor called VI. I typically don't use it, but let's see if I remember how to do this. Control Alt Q. Yeah, there we go. Wait, QW. What? No, damn it. Q. There we go. We quit it. Okay. So the text editor, the terminal is a very powerful application you should learn how to use in Linux. But as you can see, it's a very graphical environment too. There's nothing wrong about this at all. There are software updates apparently. I have a notification. Whatever happened to that notification, I don't know. I should mention that when you when you first do install the virtual machine, you should always try to install the guest editions. Let me show you. You see this over here? Go to Devices, insert guest editions image. Let's get a close-up on that. Magnify. Devices, insert guest edition image. It seems like it's already mounted, so let's go into the file directory. As you can see, I have VirtualBox editions over here. I do not know what's going on because usually under VirtualBox editions there is a sh file, a Linux executable. Okay, let me just cut to the chase. Typically there'd be something around here that you'd click to run the VirtualBox editions, and what it does is it allows you to like have special functions within this virtual machine that and your regular host operating system. So this over here is Windows 10, and this over here is Fedora. And traditionally, maybe the VirtualBox editions is automatically installed for me, because it seems like without the VirtualBox editions, traditionally, when you enlarge your window, it doesn't the operating system, your virtual operating system doesn't automatically resize. But for me, it is doing that. So I guess VirtualBox editions for me is already installed, so no need to go over that. Anyways, this has been Debarshi. I hope you liked my little tutorial, and if you need help, just hit me up. Good night.